I'm Annie.
And I'm Leah.
And this is Lactation Business Coaching with Annie and Leah, where we talk about the smart way to create a compassionate and professional private practice.
Let's dive in.
Hello, Leah.
Hello, Annie. This is kind of a different setup for us because we are actually face-to-face in Annie's house recording a podcast together. I'm so excited. I am in New York.
Coming to you from Queens, all the way from Houston. I have Leah sitting right across from me, which is pretty awesome.
Yes.
We're usually crouched in closets and hiding from our people. And here we are together. So we're super excited to be able to do a podcast in person because, you know, it's just always better when you can be together.
Yes. And I got to make my first trip to New York, which was so fun, a little intimidating. I was like preparing myself for all the New York stories you hear about, but it was really easy and smooth, and I made it safely to Annie's place. So yay.
And here we are. There were a lot of scheduling logistics involved in getting Leah here on both of our ends, and that's pretty convenient that our sponsor for today's episode is Acuity Scheduling. So is your client scheduling a crazy hot mess? Well, never ask what time works for you. Again, your clients can quickly view your real-time availability and self-book their own appointments and even pay online. Don't hate, integrate. Visit acuitysscheduling.com/ref/LBC, which stands for Lactation Business Coaching, for a 45-day free trial. We will have that link in the show notes.
I love Acuity. We use it for my practice, and it's really helped us because we have several LCs in the practice. So we're always trying to figure out who's working when and everything. So now we have it set up where people can put in their own schedule. If they need to block it, they can just get on there and block, you know, I've got to take my kid to the dentist, so I don't want to book any appointments. So it's actually helped with our like in-practice communication too, because everybody can kind of self-direct their schedule, which is really nice feature that I like a lot.
And you get the people who are like, it's 2:00 in the morning and my nipples hurt.
Yes.
And then they can schedule.
Right
and
then.
There they are. So I'm a big fan of Acuity. I've been using it for a while. I just love how they do things. And I'm really happy that they sponsored us and are giving us this great deal, because usually you only get a week and they're giving you 45 days.
That's amazing. That is simply amazing. I was sold after a week. So 45 days is definitely going to seal the deal for you.
For sure.
Yeah.
So the reason Leah's here is because we're doing, well, by the time this podcast comes out, we will have already done a all-day group practice training. So talking with a bunch of awesome lactation consultants about how to create and run a group practice. So we thought for our topic today that we would stay in that same vein, and we're going to give you 3 ways that you can collaborate with other lactation consultants, because we're super into working together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's so many inventive and creative ways that you don't have to do like the traditional practice model. There's like other ways that you can still be in collaboration with other lactation consultants and have a group practice feel to it on many different levels. So I think it's going to be a great talk today.
And if you're hearing that and you're like, wait, what? Leah and Annie are doing a little mini conference about group practices. How come I didn't know about this? Well, it's sold out really fast and we totally want to do it again. So if you're interested in having Leah and I come and speak, we would love to hear from you. So you can just send us an email, hello@lactationbusinesscoaching.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
So we're super excited. So before we get into the episode, Leah is in a group practice and she's got a super fun marketing tip today about her group practice and something cute they all do together.
Yes. So we got shirts that are branded shirts. So the front has a fun saying. It says, keep calm and latch on. And then the back has our logo on it. And we will wear these, when we do consults, but we'll also wear them when we go anywhere together. So conferences or, if we're doing like a baby expo expo or some kind of booth somewhere, we'll wear them. And it's funny because I have a funny story about it. I was in Whole Foods in Houston wearing my shirt, minding my own business, trying to run in and get lunch real quick in between consults, actually. And a lady runs up to me because my logo's on the back and from behind. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're those babe people. Yes, I've seen you guys everywhere. I can't believe I'm seeing you in person. And it was so funny because I was like, felt like a moment of, celebrity mode, because she was like, I can't believe I'm meeting you right now. I was like, okay, like that was a little much, but it was super fun because just wearing it around town, you might get more brand recognition, especially if you have something really eye-catching or a fun name like that. I think it really helps solidify your branding. So think about getting some kind of branded clothing for your group practice is my marketing tip.
It's a great marketing tip. I love it. I still don't have branded anything for myself, but it's just me. So I'm like, whatever I'm wearing today, that's how I'm branding myself.
Hey, there's some definite benefits to that as well, because laundry has to get done if I run out of purple scrubs or my branded shirt. So there's not as much leeway there. So we are talking today about collaborating with other lactation consultants and some different ways that you can do that. And a very kind of easy way to just get started in working with other lactation consultants, it would be to get involved in any local groups that you have, like if you have a USLCA chapter in your area, or if your area has a coalition or a group of lactation consultants. Like our area has the Houston Area Lactation Consultants and Educators Association. And so one thing that you could do is start with some work or collaboration there. Have you been involved in your group here?
Yeah, we have a local chapter of USLCA, and you can go to uslca.org and find your local chapter. And if there isn't one, they'll make it really easy for you to start one. As our professional association for the United States, it can be a great way to work together and build recognition in the community and access some of USLCA's resources. I know in other countries too, because we do have not US people listening, that you can do your own ILCA chapter or your own regional chapter through your country. So just showing up at these events and asking how I'm here to help. So look on their calendar and say, are you doing anything for World Breastfeeding Week? Are you doing anything for Black Breastfeeding Week? What other kinds of, is there some meeting with a senator that I can help with, that I can come and can I get signatures for legislation? Is there a nurse-in happening? I know there seem to keep popping up, especially now that it's getting warmer and people think they're allowed to breastfeed wherever they want to and should be allowed to breastfeed wherever they want to.
Right, without having to put a heavy blanket all over them in this so bad heat. When I left Houston, the heat index was 109 degrees. So we're definitely, there's with these coalitions or the the groups, the USLC chapters, they have so many options for things that you can do. A lot of times they're dying to have board members, and it doesn't have to be a big job. Like in our group, they've broken it down into really small jobs. So you're not taking on like, oh, I'm about to run an entire chapter of USLCA. No, you can take like small little groups, little parts of that job, and that way you're collaborating and you're networking. And I really think this helps from a marketing perspective of just having that recognition as somebody who's active in the community. People start to know you and feel more comfortable referring to people that they know. So a lot of this also brings the hospital-based LCs together with the private practice LCs, these chapters do. And I think that's so important because the hospital-based LCs need to know who's out in the community that they are connecting with and they feel really comfortable referring to, and vice versa. We need to know who's in the hospital. So you have, I think hospital LCs sometimes get this bad rap. They don't have a lot of time with moms to build big connections. And so once you know them, okay, that was just I know that they're doing this. I know that they're doing that. And the mom, maybe just her perception was so narrow because it was such a short time that those LCs got to spend. So I think it makes a really nice way to just start to get to know who's in your community and how you can connect and network with them.
And you can also connect with the volunteer groups. So, when you, especially for one of these big events where like World Breastfeeding Week, if there's some La Leche League event happening, like a lot of times you're going to be working together and saying, well, we're doing it on this day and you're doing it on that day. And just even so that those people know, oh, and that's the IBCLC who showed up and like did our little walkathon with us or whatever it is that is doing. You can participate in fundraisers for these volunteer groups. They often need, they need people and they need, sometimes they just even need money and make a donation to them. So showing that local support to the groups that are actually making a difference for families is it can be a lot of fun. I mean, we have our NILCA meetings are always a great time. We always like stay up too late and I always come home and I'm like vibrating because I'm like, I just like had like amazing conversations and somebody wanted to ride home and then we talked and I always feel like when the more time face-to-face you spend with people, the less easy it is for you to feel like competitive or threatened by them or like, you're like, no, I mean, we're all trying to make a living, but like, these are my people. Yeah. And I want all of us to make a living. And how can we do that for each other? How can we keep pushing each other forward? So
absolutely. Well, that is a great way for us to really start connecting. I think another really interesting model, as I was doing a lot of research, and I know you have experience in this too, is like an informal, almost referral network that you build up because you do make these wonderful connections in these maybe coalitions or the chapters, and you make all these connections. And before you know it, you're like, noticing like, hey, I'm always ending up referring to these 5 people that are closest to me and can hit the same areas that I can cover. And before you know it, y'all just informally start sharing referrals with each other. And sometimes that can be taken a step further. How does that work for you in your area? Because I know you guys kind of have like an informal way to refer when you're not available or if you're too far away.
We have it started out as it being informal, and we started posting in our Facebook group for the New York Lactation Consultants Association referrals, but then people weren't seeing them. And we also have some members of the Facebook group who are not IBCLCs. They're like affiliate members or like they join because like our tongue tie provider joined to show support, but they're like, we don't need like you seeing like us trying to get clients covered. And so here in New York City, there are 1 million babies born every minute, and many of them want a home visit. I just had a woman email me last night. She said, my doula gave me your information because she says you book up really quickly. I'm due in October. Now we are recording this in June.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, first of all, I love this doula. Right. I was like, wrote back. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't even know what my schedule is going to be. Just contact me when your baby's born. I can't, but she was like, can I be on your waiting list? Can I?
Oh my goodness.
So it's like things like that come up. So now I know, like in the back of my mind, that this woman is going to be circling back to me in October when her baby's born. I don't know if I'm going to be available or not. And October is like the really like the ramp up of baby season. Yes, that's when they're like, so many. Like the babies themselves are calling us like, I was just born. Come get me. Come see me, not the guy in the next bed. So it's like crazy. And so I know I'm like, there's a very good chance I will not be available. So now I have to find somebody else who's available. So it used to be, I would just like, I had my own list of like, well, I know these people go to this neighborhood and they go to that neighborhood, but then they wouldn't be available. And one of us, had the bright idea to create a chat group on WhatsApp, which is a free app. It's encrypted messaging. And so they're like, anybody who wants to be on this group, just sign up with your phone number. Now we have this group text. It's called IBCLC referrals. And so somebody emails me or texts me and says, hey, I'm in Kew Gardens and I need a home visit. Are you available? And I'm like, I'm not available. Or they'll say I'm in the Upper West Side. I don't go to the Upper West Side. And so I'll go in my group and I'll just say Kew Gardens. And somebody, within like 20 minutes, usually I get at least 2 people saying, so I'm available today, I'm available tomorrow. And then I take their info. And as soon as I get, for me, my policy is as soon as I get 2 responses, I say thank you to the group. And I give those, I say, thank you for reaching out. I'm not available, but these 2 people are, and I give them their phone number. And
that's a great way that you can kind of pass it off easily. You're not having to worry about collecting the mom information and then securely getting it you don't have to touch any of that. So that's such a neat way to do it. But it also gives you the confidence to have clear boundaries. I think that's one of the things that when you have a really strong referral network, that you can keep your boundaries. Because when you do have that mom that's like sitting there boo-hooing on the phone, like, please just come help me. And it would be really tempting. Your heart is breaking for her to be like, well, I know I told my kids I'd take them, blah, 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 but I could run over there. Okay, I'm just going to do it. But instead, you have the confidence of like, I know these people. I know they're wonderful, capable, going to take beautiful care. I'm going to pass this mama who's breaking my heart off to somebody who is surely going to help her in a way that I would.
And then it comes back around because then there's going to be the day where I'm like, I'll see something and it'll say Sunnyside. And I'm like, and I'm sitting around saying like, why is my calendar filled? I'm like, I can see her.
Yes.
And then I know that person is going to pass my name along because we've got just this goodwill.
That is so nice.
And we have it limited. You have to be a NILCA member in good standing to be in the WhatsApp group. So they check everybody.
Yeah.
And it's only for IBCLCs doing home visits. And then what happened was, if you can only imagine, we all got to chatting.
Oh no.
So we had to create a second group. Because we were like, wait a minute, we're missing the referrals because we're all like having these amazing conversations. Now we have a second group that's just for conversation.
That's so
and then
crazy.
Those of us that take Aetna have a smaller group that's only the Aetna people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so as soon as there's like an Aetna person, I take it to the smaller group.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this has really grown. And I do feel, even though there's some people on there who I've never met them in person, but like my clients, like these people sometimes will then come back to me and they'll say, thank you so much for referring her. She was great. I really appreciate it. And that has happened more than once. I'm like, I don't even have a relationship with this person, just texted me. But then they were like, wanted to make sure, and I did have, this was like the most beautiful thing was I had somebody write that she's like, she just was like, I just want to let you know that you weren't available and you sent me somebody else. And I just think you need to tell all of your colleagues that you people are amazing and you do great work and I was like, you just like really want to give us a group hug?
I know. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. And that is I love that model. And I think that really busy areas, you might be a little nervous to jump down the group practice rabbit hole with all the thinking about contracts and legal and, trying to figure out all that. But just this is a beautiful way to still be able to collaborate, still be able to get a lot of the benefits that you get out of a group practice setting where you can have somebody easy to recover for you, but you can also have, let me talk to you about this case with trusted friends that are great IBCLCs. So you're like, I can go through this case. Let me debrief you and help me figure out what to do next. You have that aspect of it too. So I think a lot of people, if you've not quite feel like you're ready to jump into the deeper end, this is a great way to kind of wade into what it feels like to be on a deeper level of collaboration, not quite the chapter meetings, but another step forward. And then what would come after that? So if we're going to nope, I'm ready to take another step forward, something more formal, Annie, what does that actually look like?
Well, so you've been on WhatsApp, you've been getting to know the other lactation consultants, and you might find that you really click with somebody, and maybe you've gotten together for coffee or hung out at a conference, and you might be thinking, wouldn't it be nice to share some of this load with somebody else? So really the next step would be a group practice.
Yeah, a more formal setup where there are negotiated contracts and there are very clear roles and money goes in certain directions in certain ways, much more formal setup. And that's what I've experienced actually through my whole I've never been a private practice LC by myself before. So I only have this other perspective of always having collaboration with other IBCLCs. And I can't imagine doing it any other way, although you guys have found some really great ways to make it work for you too. But I think there's a lot of benefits to having a formal group practice, especially just the workload can be, it's really great to have kind of a structure to how the workload will be divided. So that's really nice. Financially, so you're able to have some more financial benefit, especially if you're a sole proprietor and you pull in under other LCs under you. It's a way for you to maybe grow your practice and then have some financial benefit from the work that all your practice is doing. So there's definitely some benefits. There's some drawbacks too. There's a lot more paperwork because you got to get a lawyer to make contracts and make sure you're doing it correctly per your state, because there's a lot of different laws in different states on how you can interact with people that you're bringing on. Like some states, it's really strict on whether you independent contractor or employee, and you really got to have a lawyer and also I would say a CPA really guide you through your business structure and how you're going to do contracts and those kind of things, because there's definitely state to state differences, and the federal government has a lot of information as well on the IRS.gov website about, is this going to be an independent contractor relationship versus an employee relationship? And you really want to explore that as you're looking at how you want to set up a group practice. But there's a lot to it. And that's why Annie and I had to do an entire day workshop, which I think is going to end up just really helping a lot of people understand the nuances of really getting those kind of things set up. So,
and I think the thing that kind of blew my mind as we were even just brainstorming on this, and I was like, oh, not everyone wants to be a small business owner.
Yeah.
Like I do. And I like the business part of it, but I'm like but I realized that, and I've been, talking with people who say, I don't want to run a business. I want someone to hire me. So that might be you might be out there saying like, I really want to do private practice, but I'm so intimidated by the business stuff. Maybe, take that somebody out to lunch and say, would you consider hiring me? I would like to work for you.
Yeah.
What would that look like? And, see how, maybe is somebody out there who would like to be in a group practice, but didn't even really think about it. And so that's the kind of thing those conversations can happen when you're at those events or at a chapter meeting, or, working together on your referral network that then has to spawn a second conversation thing. I mean, you never know where those things will go. Yeah. And we've just had so much fun talking with these different group practices across the country, and they're all doing it a little different.
It's so fascinating to me, and just speaks to the awesomeness that is the IBCLC, in that like we can get in there. We've got grit to like figure out for your region what works for your region, what different, kind of creative ways that you can serve certain populations, or make it work with maybe confounding factors or different jobs. I mean, there's just so much. I had such a great time interviewing. One of the things we did to prep for this, we just interviewed a ton of different group practices and different models. And it was just really, really neat to see all the awesome work that these IBCLCs have done to just make this work for them in these really, really just unique and creative ways. And to make it work for the people they're trying to serve too, which is just, it was really, really fun. And I can't wait to share more information about it.
I know we're going to have so much fun. And like I said, if you think you want this to come to your area, we'd love to hear from you. We've got other ideas too.
Yes,
but
so many.
Talking about lactation stuff is like basically our like favorite thing to do.
Absolutely. We kept trying to like turn the conversation since we've been together. We'll talk about like a little bit kid stuff here and there. And then before we know it, we're back on like business and lactation. It's so funny. It's like our conversations just always head into that direction. But Annie, as we wrap up this fun conversation about group practice today, do you have a group practice tech tip for us?
I do. And so it ties back with our sponsor, Acuity. So in Acuity, you can get the consent in advance. You can load it in there as a terms and conditions template. So what I recommend is if you do insurance clients and self-pay clients have two different consents. So you know how like you might think, oh, I'm just going to like put it all in there. If you're self-pay, then it's like this. Like if you're insurance, it works like that. Make two different ones and then make two different visit types. One's an insurance visit type and one's a self-pay visit type. And then they're only going to see what applies to them.
That makes
and
so
I just
much
think
sense.
like the less we make our clients read and comprehend and try to make sense, the better.
Right.
They don't want to do it. We don't want to make them do it. So it's a really easy way to do the heavy lifting. And then with Acuity, if you're in a group practice and you're doing, have it set up for separate users and calendars, then it's going to also be tied to that practitioner. So that's the kind of granular scheduling that Acuity can do and does so well. So
yeah, it's a really robust system. We have found so many neat inner workings of it that we can use to just streamline our business and keep everything really organized. And we do every year, we do a whole report of kind of like how many visits did we see, what kinds of visits were we seeing, and we compare it to years before. So we really get a sense of where are we growing, where are things maybe needing more marketing in this area or that area, and like what is working with marketing, what's not working. I mean, we try to do some analysis there so we have some thought as we go forward into the new year. And this last year, so 2018 was the first year that we had used Acuity the whole year. And it was like the heavens opened and the light shone down because it was like click, 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 got all my reports done. Whereas before we would like have to compile them month over month by hand in an Excel spreadsheet. And it was so painful. And I had to like hire a VA to do it for me. But this year it was so nice. It was like just created the report and it was so easy to look at all the numbers and everything. So that's just one more benefit of Acuity. I could go on.
A little extra tip.
I know, you got an extra tip there.
Yeah. So, all right, well, this was super fun to do in person. And
so next we'll just have to get you to come down to Houston. It'll probably have to be after the sticky summer is over, but I'm going to get you down to Houston and we're going to do another podcast, but it's going to be Houston podcast.
Which is actually totally going to happen. So
awesome. All right. Well, it was good talking to you today.
Yeah,
Amy.
For sure.
Thanks for listening to Lactation Business Coaching with Annie and Leah. If you like this podcast, please leave us a rating or review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you're listening right now. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.